And we have a special episode because all the stars have aligned, you guys. We are witnessing the end of Fishtank, the end of the 6-week torment and torture that these folks have been subjugated to. And we have a very important guest with you all tonight. Mr. Top J in the building. We have Jon Tent happening with the finale of Fishtank. It's going to be a crazy, crazy landmark podcast for us and for Jon because he's been doing all the work since he's been off the show, and he's been back on the show again. He's been there and back, and we're really going to kind of avoid talking too much because we're about to see whether Letty or Josie wins in this show. But I just wanted to hand it over to XVALA here for a second because I know that you've been really itching to talk to Jon, and I kind of just want you to kind of get us started here. Jon, would you like to say a few words before we begin?
Go first, Jon.
I don't know. I'm excited for this interview. That's basically it.
Yeah, we're excited for it too. It's been so amazing watching like your journey from like being like a house full of people that no one even knew to just like learning like the ins and outs of people like through all their great, from their highest points to their lows. Like it's really interesting because I feel like it really has like shown us like the core, sides of humanity and like all the things that, despite sometimes being in like pig infested, like sties and dirty environments, like, you can still find love in it all to sort of like be a bright spot for people. And whenever I think about you, Jon, I feel like you were that bright spot for this show. I feel like you brought a light into the darkness, into just all the different, types of personalities. That's not even to just like be like sort of like a sycophant right off the bat, but I honestly feel like there was something very unique about your charm that you brought to the show, and I feel like everyone agreed. Like even I think you were one of Sam's favorites.
Thank you. I really appreciate that a lot.
I feel like I want to kind of start from the very beginning. Like,
hold on, Kalen. I want to know, Jon, how do you feel tonight, real quick? Just what do you feel like?
I feel pretty good.
Are you excited? I mean, do you feel like your life is different from this point forward? I mean, how do you feel like about your prospects?
I feel like every day is a better day, and I feel like everything that's going to be happening is going to be amazing, and it's going to be a blessing from God.
Cool. Go ahead, Kalen.
Yeah, I wanted to get a little bit more down to your roots. I know that for the better part of this show, you were sort of giving everyone a look into what it's like to, I think, be like a follower of Jesus Christ, like one who walks in the steps of Christ. And I want to know, what do you do each and every day that you feel like is important to your walk in your faith? Like, what is something that is important, that is something that everyone should probably do? I feel like
one of the most important things that most people don't realize how important it is fasting. I think people should be doing intermittent fasting a lot. Jesus talks about that's one of the most powerful things you could do is fasting and prayer. So praying and fasting, they say it's the most two powerful things. And I think a lot of people don't practice fasting enough. I try to do fasting every day. I do for about 20 hours to 23 hours, and then I have like one big meal usually. Sometimes I break that. Like if someone cooks me food or they buy me breakfast beforehand, I usually don't say no to people because I don't want to deny their gift and be rude. But I think fasting is one of the most important.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get this going. I think there's something to intermittent fasting that I've noticed is like really good for focus. I think that primarily like you get also to a point where your mind is either you can only focus on food, or you can focus on the task at hand and getting it done, so that you can then kind of get that reprieve and actually start enjoying like the food that you've been waiting to eat through your hard work. So I feel like, is hard work important to you? Is that something that you feel like is crucial to being like growing, I guess, like is because like a lot of people are like, I don't want to do hard work, or I don't want to do hard work in my future. I want to have like an easy life. But do you feel like there is something of virtue to like hard work, whenever it's applied to the right things?
I feel like you will never get anything worth having if you didn't do hard work. People who get things handed to them, for example, if you grew up in an extremely wealthy family and you're a guy, and you just get everything handed to you, you're going to see their life is crap, and they usually just become a drug addict, and they're living a shittiest life ever. Even though they got everything they can have and want, hard work is extremely important if you want a good life, from what I've seen and noticed.
XVALA, I feel like you would have like a lot of insight. I feel like in this category too. Like, what do you think about John's like Weltanschauung or like worldview so far? I mean, anything to add to that?
I want to know specifics on your fasting, because I do intermittent fasting, and I've done it off and on, say over the last decade, and it wasn't necessarily inspired by anything in the Bible or Jesus' teachings, but it was inspired just as a way, as like my own kind of like read on my body. I could just tell I felt better when I didn't eat in the morning, and I really waited till night. So like, what's your schedule like as far as your fasting?
So I usually try to have one meal, like roughly between 5 to 9 p.m. at night. Usually, I haven't eaten yet today. A lot of people, like if I have friends over, they try to get me to eat breakfast, and then I feel bad. So I either eat it and then I feel like shit for the rest of the day, or I deny it after they cook it for me, which sucks too. But I think, I usually eat at night. I don't eat in the morning. Um,
Do you have a cheat day, like where you, like a Friday or a Saturday, where you can kind of go outside of trying to be healthy and just indulge a little bit?
so yeah, sometimes like, because I figure, I work out on a regular basis and I feel like I'm a pretty healthy person. So if I do have a craving for something, I'm usually probably going to go with it. Not always. Like it depends on how I'm feeling and how busy I am. Like if I'm working nonstop, I usually forget to eat. Sometimes I've forgotten to eat for like 3 days straight before. That's how focused I've been.
That's pretty
Um,
hardcore.
yeah. So like I do have cheat days because I'm not going. I feel like that's important to please yourself at times, because if you don't over please yourself, I feel like, I don't know, people end up crashing their diet or whatever they're doing. Like a lot of people, they can't control themselves because they not used to it. They retain everything and then they just go out and go crazy and eat whatever and then gain
And
X
that's
amount
an
of
important
weight.
part of fasting, or intermittent fasting. I'd say more so intermittent fasting, because it's like you give yourself a little bit of sustenance, and you're eating for health, and you're learning discipline. You're learning
Yeah.
to focus on maybe being in that moment, and then also having a goal at hand. So I tell me how this flows into your interest with Andrew Tate, because he kind of follows a dietary fasting model also, right?
Yeah. So I was looking into fasting before Andrew Tate, um, before I found out about who he was.
Hmm.
I think intermittent fasting is extremely important for multiple reasons. One, it slows down your aging process. Two, let's say if you work out, you're going to heal faster and regain the muscle mass sooner. Most people don't know that. It's kind of like sleeping. How when you sleep, your body heals itself. With intermittent fasting, your body's just healing itself all day long. Then, so if you work out a lot, you will get a lot less sore. It's extremely important for that. Um, Let alone, I feel like eating multiple times during the day is waste of time.
Hmm.
It's all the health benefits and then waste of time. It just makes more sense to do it.
Well, once you start it, you do realize how much of a kind of a a time waster, I guess. Always trying to get food, like
Yeah,
real food, not fast food, but just like real, like cooking egg whites, or like bison. Like I like bison a lot. Those types of things, they take time, and then
it
you got to
does.
clean up yourself. And I mean, that's all without saying, but I'm agreeing with you that it's like, wow. I have all this time in my hands.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask something because it kind of worked its way to that, because I know that I don't want to just like pepper you with like easy softballs, but I'm not gonna throw anything like unfairly hard. I don't think, but we just had Simon here, Ty, on our show, and he was a great host, and he brought up something that I had seen mentioned in comments, about whenever we're talking about John and his interests are well, from the famous video Jesus and Andrew Tate. And I know that it often gets talked about in the comments, but I'm sure you have a great answer for what, like, it seems apparent to people right off the bat that there are some differences between Jesus and Tate, obviously. But the one that we just brought up that was like a similarity, we're talking about fasting and things like that. So what are some other similarities that you see, not to like create a false idol of Tate, but just like some things, because I mean he is Muslim, he just converted, so it's just interesting to kind of see the correlation.
I think both of them, in a sense, are trying to help people without a doubt, because Andrew Tate is motivating and inspiring thousands of people to do better. And then you got to think about this: all those people he's inspiring to do better, those people are going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be inspiring to do better too. It's kind of like a ripple effect. A wave hits this, and then it's going somewhere else. And that's kind of what Jesus did too. He inspired people to help and helped people in many different ways. Um, like Andrew, Andrew Tate may have helped people in different ways, to try to get financially stable, or to how to work out, or how to get the right mindset. All these things that people need to know that haven't been really getting taught these days. Like if you go back, a really big thing most people don't even know, like a grandpa these days, like let's say a dude in the 80s or 70s, when he was a kid, his testosterone level is probably 10 times more than the average man to this day in America. So like an average guy in his prime has like a shit ton less of testosterone or the proper hormones in the body compared to the guys in the 1920s or 1940s. But why is that? People are eating like garbage. People eat 24/7. They don't work out. They don't. Being on the grind, I feel like also makes you more confident. And so people are not confident anymore these days either. You see so many guys that just get walked over from either other guys who are extremely dominant, or they get walked over by females, or it's just all kinds of stuff they get walked over on. And it's kind of pathetic and sad
Don't,
seeing people just get walked over on.
don't you think people are kind of just afraid to maybe speak their mind more these days than it might have been in the past? And that's
Oh, most definitely.
part of it. It's like it's not necessarily that men are always simping for women or anything. It's more of a mindset like I might get in trouble if I open my mouth and say what's on it.
Well, for example, something that happened on Fishtank, I would say, uh, Letty, Vance got trapped in a room with Letty, and she kept like trying to force herself onto him, and when she cornered him. If a guy did that to any female, he would have been instantly kicked off the show. Okay, he would have been, harassed nonstop. Versus when a female does it, they get props. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like just like how many guys, like it is true, guys do get raped by females. When a guy get raped by a female, no one's going to take that guy serious, and the female's probably going to get props. Okay, versus if a guy did the same thing, when he's going to jail and he's not getting props. So I feel like the modern day feminists is almost kind of like Nazis in a sense that they're always trying to take whites away from guys now. Like I feel like the females or the feminists back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, I feel like they were cool as fuck. Like I support females whites, but I also support men whites. I believe in equality, and the modern feminists, they don't do that.
Well, yeah, that's something that is I think that's like a shell that's being breached right now on like a lot of these like dating podcasts and stuff like that, where it's like there's a lot of thought that's put into this idea that like the way that feminism has changed society is that it's created this like image or this like belief that this is how everyone like wants to be. But it's even permeating, I think, in like people who are more conservative influencers who are female, who it's like a lot of those people, those women haven't had kids yet, or maybe they don't, they say they want to have kids, but they're not actually doing it. So it's like we're kind of like in this like stuck culture, this idea that I don't know, maybe it somehow like very fringely relates to the fact that we have like 5 Fast and Furious movies. It's like everything's been like kind of stuck in repeat, and we're kind of like in this thing right now that people are questioning, are there parts of the old ways that we should maybe bring back into the fray? It's like what do you pick and choose and leave? And then there's some people who are like, oh well, you can't just like take away, go back from feminism without bringing back like oppression against women, which some people would say, well, that wouldn't happen because we live in a more safe, well-to-do society today, so there's more protections already in place, so we can just ditch the third wave feminism that is like causing so many like women like sometimes like to hate men. Maybe that's like that's kind of, I'm saying that that's kind of like where we're trending now, because I think that a lot of women actually do kind of like, they hate masquerading as someone who like hates men. Like I think a lot of women truly do like men, or see men as like as a necessity. It's just that you have these like vocal minorities. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Can you see yourself being like an advocate for, I don't know if you call it men's rights, but like men's issues maybe?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Like, what direction do you think you'd like to take that idea? Because I'm kind of I'm a little older than both you and Kaylin, and I identify with the things you're saying on a very personal level. It's like part of my memories. I mean, as a young guy, young dude who's kind of got a new platform, what do you think your first move is?
Or
maybe
to inspire a lot of people and get them to not simple females so much, and to walk out and just make that money. But the biggest thing, like for example, someone messaged me the other day saying he fucked up with a girl and she was leaving him or whatever, and then he got back with her. He said he did it. It's like, no, you didn't, because now she's in control, and like she's telling him blah blah blah, you have to do this and that and that. Like, there's nothing wrong being in a relationship with the girl, but now she's in charge of him essentially. I'm like, well, do you really want to be in a relationship where she's going to be in charge of you, and you're going to do everything you can to keep her around? You're going to be that desperate to keep her around? You're better off leaving her, focusing on yourself, and forget about girls for a bit and make some money or something.
So okay, I think that yeah, I mean, I think that you have like a pretty like solid track, ahead, like for like basically appealing to a lot of what young men right now are kind of like going through, and like in these questions. I feel like in some ways I feel like Sam is almost like that guy that you were talking about before, about how there's like a lack of testosterone. And Sam doesn't really parade, around as like, like, oh, I'm a macho Chad, like, like, oh, fuck your girlfriend, kind of thing. Like, he's sort of a humble kind of, I don't know, gentle giant, but then he can be like really like outrageous.
But that's how every guy should be, I feel like.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like in some ways he's the fighting and stuff that he had going on. Like, I feel like that was like a symbol of like reinvigorating, of like being like, look at what we're doing in this house right now, just punching bags and stuff like that. That's what you back home should be doing. Like that's what you viewers should be doing. You should be taking like, advice where we lead, essentially. Did you feel like you wanted to go home and like start boxing more, or did you already do that, or was that something that like you felt invigorated to do after being on the show?
So I box a lot with my siblings. Nothing professional. Like, we never got trained. We just like looked up on how to do online. We kind of practiced it on our own. I've always enjoyed doing boxing and wrestling. I'm probably not the best at it, but I am trying to improve myself at it though.
Looks like we're seeing something right now. Sam's talking directly at the camera. Would you want to take a quick 3 minutes just to look at this, John?
Sure.
For the final contest, big whoopsie. And the streaming thing, this is not even a thing If you watch streaming,
Nobody won.
because I care about my fans. I care about my fans. If you think streaming is a good thing to watch,
Sam is saying the show is out of money and nobody
you're
won.
watching people pick up pieces of shit and turds off the floor for 6 weeks.
That's what our advisor in residence Jacob just tells me. Is that really what he's saying?
He's saying he's spending all legal fees.
You watch people pick their nose for 6 weeks? You fucking
On legal fees and what?
He's spending all legal fees.
Like, turn off.
He's blaming
Hey,
the
Taylor.
literature.
He's blaming the chat?
Yes, he's blaming the TTF.
Enjoy. But you're
Hold on a second.
Turn off Sam.
people smearing
Okay, it's going off.
ice cream on the
So sorry to interrupt that, John. That's what? Legal fees? TTS? That's what
No.
we're not allowed to talk about this right now. We have John on. John, do
Yeah.
you have any comment about the allegations that we just heard?
About legal fees?
Yeah.
What legal fees?
I don't know. We're hearing right now that the grand prize is in jeopardy, but we've been gaslit a couple times about the grand prize.
That's just a way to kind of get people going.
Yeah.
Why
This
would
is what I say. What happened last time you guys got gaslighted by him?
we were wrong?
Well, how did the viewers respond in chat?
We donated more money. Yeah, more donos.
D never dies the more stuff.
So yeah, that's the play.
This is how the show never ends. Do you feel like the next year of your life is going to be, I mean, there's going to be an entirely new group of people, I feel like, that watch this show whenever it's in the post production, like whatever it's like actually put into like sort of like a reality show format. Do you feel like that's going to really change people's perspectives just from like having like the actual first person view of everything, John?
I think so, because in the contract, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but I'm going to say it, I guess. In the contract, just like most TV shows, they can make anyone look any way they want it to look. So the live stream is going to be the most realist thing you're going to see. Once the actual episodes come out, it's going to be how they want you to look. If they want me to look like an evil-ass motherfucker, that's what they're going to do. If they want me to look like the kindest fucking person ever or fucking pussy and pushover, that's what they can do, because I signed that away. So I think when they do the episodes, a lot of people are going to look different than how they do on a live stream 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about conviction and like respect for like religion. I'm going to switch it up for a second because I don't want to ask you about anything specifically that happened to you on the show. But if someone just say, for example, destroyed your property, perhaps a very sacred religious text, and it happened to get washed away in the washing machine. If someone destroyed a Bible, like, how much would that infuriate you? Like, and how much of a line was that to cross?
The answer I would give, I think might violate my NDA, but to give you a shorter answer, I think anyone who destroys anything religious should know better. Like, I guarantee you, if that was if someone destroyed an Islam book, when they get out, they would be getting millions of death threats. Just like how Andrew Tate said, people respect Islam a lot more versus Christianity. Guarantee you, most people are not even going to care. They're going to say, turn the cheek. But this is how I see things. God wouldn't want you to just let people walk over you. Because just like in the Bible, God mentions, or not God, but like there's commandments. One of the commandments, people always get it confused, saying do not kill. No, it's not that. It's do not mortal. Do not go kill someone for no reason. But if someone's trying to kill you and you kill them instead, that's completely okay. That's not a sin. So I think reacting in a negative way when someone's destroying something of yours, or when you're defending someone or something, I think that's perfectly okay. But for some reason, a lot of people in this Christian world, they don't see that. They think you're supposed to turn the other cheek and let people walk over you.
Yeah, it's funny how there's more value added to documentation to help you get across borders. You know, the thing that you have to show the TSA
Oh
on
yeah.
your
Well,
yeah.
and to be fair, I don't know if you guys were able to heal, but before I ever even think about breaking something, I always got permission beforehand. I had the AOK out loud. So if something, did happen, if I ever did decide to break something of someone's, I would make sure I got permission by the people in charge. Which did happen. I always get permissions. And if someone decides to change the last minute beforehand, that's not really on me.
Yeah, I think that and yeah, that's what we're trying not to do. We're trying to keep everything in bounds. I know we went a little bit close to the edge, but we're gonna kind of stay more in line. But I want to get a little bit to the section that I wanted to talk to you about more. Not to like ask you, like whether you would vote for Trump or Biden or anything, but just get a little bit more political in nature, because I want to know, like, you seem like you have great leadership abilities. Obviously, I think it's a little bit overrated for people to say like, oh, would you ever run for like, U.S. Congress or something like that, or president? But a lot of people underrate the importance of local leadership, and so I want to know if you would ever, perhaps be like a city council member or like a mayor. Like, is that something that you think you would ever think about in the future?
Or
No.
president?
I would never do anything in the government. I hate the government. I hate both sides. It's just a show for the people.
How would you do anything to enrich your community though? Would you ever be like a volunteer firefighter or something like that?
Probably wouldn't do a volunteer firefighter, and here's why. Being a volunteer firefighter, the only thing you're doing is, like, let's say you're doing middle school things at a time. Like, yes, what you're doing is extremely important. I'd rather do something more pointed on a large scale.
You're a big picture dude.
Thousands of lives at a time.
Right.
I feel like that's more important than saving one life at a time.
I'm telling you, dude, the John for President shirts would be out of this world. You got to at least consider it.
Well, I wouldn't become a president, though. Let alone they wouldn't let me become president.
I didn't
That's
say
already,
you don't have that.
That's already Simon.
Voted for me. I wouldn't last more than a year. They would end up killing me, just like JFK. That's even if all the people voted for me. They would kill you somehow.
What would they kill you for?
They didn't pick me.
Oh, they kill you before you. Wait, what?
So every president besides JFK, they got picked, not by the people, but by the people in power.
Okay.
So why would they just let me be in power?
Do you think Trump was picked the first? Do you think he was picked?
I do.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you noticed, about 10, 15 years before he ran for president, he was like, if I were one for president, I would become a Republican because they're dumb and religious. He said something down that line. So think about it. A lot of Republicans are extremely Christian. So he played the part, got the people to vote for him. That's all it came down to.
So I'm taking it you don't vote then.
I used to before I found out. But also, last time I was going to vote, I never got my ballot in the mail. And then a couple months down the line, I actually got a letter in the mail saying my signature didn't match last time. So my I wasn't registered to vote anymore because they took me off because two different signatures.
What state was that?
State of Oregon.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't. I
out.
really kind of pictured Oregon as being a little bit lax on enforcement, but I guess
it is. Yeah, you can drop it off in the mail. There's so many different ways you could do it.
Maybe it mattered because of whatever party you were affiliated with. That might have been the trigger.
So the party I was affiliated with at the time was Republican because when I was 18, I voted for Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's probably why they kicked you off.
Probably, if I had to give it a guess.
Yeah.
What was the difference between voting for Trump in 2016 and voting for him in 2020?
I learned a lot more on how the government works and how everything actually goes on.
Do you think that Trump? Do you think if there's any thanks owed to him for any small thing that impacted the most? This is a kind of a loaded question, but this is kind of what I think about him. Do you think that there's any thanks that should be given to him for inviting people more like into like the political discourse? Like, do you think that people? Because to me, I just don't. I feel like politics was not cool. It was not. People were not talking
He
about it
definitely
before.
made it cool again. Like the whole meme war of 2016. That was amazing to witness.
Well, think about this. Why did he get so many people involved in the meme war? If you could distract the masses, that's when you could do stuff without people finding out.
But they're already distracted for the most part.
Yeah. Just like how Andrew Tate, the day before he went to jail, the Epstein Island stuff was going to court.
Right.
Why do you think they put Andrew Tate in jail? He's
Mhm.
the most popular person on earth at that time. Like he was the number one Googled man. If you throw him in jail, you just distract everyone.
Dude, I have a question for you. So I always heard Tate say he's over in wherever he was at the time because the U.S. is the Matrix. And I just thought, well, that's almost a little naive to think that because you're over, like you actually have in theory more rights in the United States than you do where he was at. And what's your take on that? Do you have an opinion?
Me personally, if I were to move out of this country, I'd probably move to a third world country.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. I've been to Mexico before. You don't need a passport to get in. You just pay the guy, you could get in.
Right.
You pay people off, versus like Andrew Tate has said in the past. In the States, like let's say if you're a Senate or something, you're less likely to actually get in trouble by the cops.
Mm-hmm.
If you someone in power or influence, versus the common person, you're in trouble. Versus down in Mexico, you could be the common person, but as long as you have money, you can pay them off.
So do you think Tate got out of jail by paying somebody off? Would that be, is that the law?
I think if that was the case, he would have been out of jail a lot sooner. Why would he possibly suffer himself for 3 months? That's just my take on it.
No, it's just a question. I really hadn't thought about that. That's interesting. So you wouldn't go to Romania or something. I don't know why he picked Romania anyway, but maybe just to kind of make his accent a little more interesting than it already was.
The only places I would probably move to, it has to be extremely religious. It either has to be extremely Christian or Islam for me to want to move there, just because of their morals they have.
Mm-hmm.
I would not want to go to a country that's not religious. What are you saying?
Kaylin, your audio. Can't hear your audio, Kaylin. I don't know what happened to his audio. He might have hit something on there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I just switched over to my headphones. Sorry, guys. I was going to ask you, do you think there's anything of connection with
Kaylin, your microphone sounds like it's coming from your laptop or something.
do you think there's any connection of happiness between the countries and the descriptions that you just listed off, with the devoutness of religion and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. Without religion, there's no real society. For example, Portland, Oregon is the least religious place, I believe, in the world. Okay? Anytime I go to Portland, I hate Portland. It's disgusting. The way people are acted there, the way things are going on there. Can you hear me?
No, I was sending that to Kaylin. I guess you're getting my DMs.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, dude.
No, it's all good.
I was telling him to off.
I feel like religion is extremely good because there's so many good morals. And anytime you go to a place that doesn't have religion, I notice that society usually collapse in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the riots in Portland, all kinds. But any place where there's riots, you gotta think: why is there so many riots? What's actually happening? How is the families being raised there? What are they doing? Religion, the biggest thing about religion, most religions, is one of the most important things in most religions is family.
Right.
Okay. And if you don't have a family structure, usually those are the people that are more likely to go to jail. They're more likely to do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
They're more likely to go do a school shooting. or something bad. So I think without religion, society will always collapse for many different reasons. Not just for that hoarding family structure, but also not believing in God, let alone all the things that God brings to you and preaches. Like you're supposed to be a good person. Most people who are not religious, they decide how the world works. They decide their own rules. They're like, oh, I can fuck him over because so and so. Versus God, we are like, most religions says do not steal, do not do this or that. So I think religion is extremely important.
All right, I want to segue that into mental health because I think that I've seen you tweet a little bit about mental health and some of the things that I think are quite interesting and fascinating, and I think with a little further explanation, I think could help people understand that into your perspective. I saw a tweet. I don't have it right in front of me, but so please make sure I'm not mischaracterizing it. But I think that you said something along the lines or to the effect
I
that
don't believe in depression.
yeah, depression is a choice, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why I say depression is a choice is a little bit more complicated than that. But essentially, we control how our minds work. We control our energy and how we react to things. Things can happen to us, but we have the choice to react to it in a certain way. I'm not perfect at it quite yet. Obviously, you guys see me on Fishtank the last time. I wasn't able to, react the way I should have. So I feel like depression and everything out there is usually a choice.
Kind of like when Kanye said slavery was a choice. I mean, it's like you have.
There's slavery happening right now in the United States. Everyone who has a 9-to-5 job is a slave with just extra steps.
Yeah, no, I think that that's kind of like the positive mindset that helps you work through.
That's actually an awesome point. I've never heard somebody say that about what Kanye. You're responding to that about Kanye, right? Like
I've known this
like his new slave.
So I've known this about since I used to have a YouTube account and I posted a video talking about it back in like 2016 and how everyone's still a slave. So think about what happened back in the day with slavery. Okay. You had a slave master that would provide the food, a shelter, and usually had transportation to work for you. Okay. Now, what happens? Well, back then, there was also the pain, or what would happen if you didn't do it? Physical pain. Okay. Physical consequence. Okay. Now, you have to find your own shelter. You have to find your own food. You have to get your own transportation. You still have to go to work every day. Okay, for a 9-to-5 job, shitty job where you're barely making any money to go do anything a free person would go do. Okay, well now you're doing all that. You're probably not doing any better versus slaves back then. The only difference is you think you're free now. The only true way to be free is either to be homeless and have no debt, no jobs or nothing like that, or to be extremely wealthy. Then nothing can stop you and you can do whatever you want whenever you want. If you're living in a society, those are the only two ways to be free: either homeless or to be extremely wealthy.
Right. Let me add one thing to that before you go on, Kalen. I like that because there's a thing that came out of the Seinfeld series where it's that meme of we live in a society. And once you swallow that red pill and understand, you start to see it all around you, all the rules, all the restrictions, all the gatekeeping and all the henpeckings. Like it becomes like constrictive once you understand we live in a society like the meme, and you're like, I don't like all these rules. I don't like all this constrict. I like free thought, free association, free speech. And I think society should be more around that as opposed to, the job thing or like, what do you do for a living or, the material aspects necessarily. I mean, I'm just kind of riffing on what you're saying, but I like that take you just did on Kanye's slavery was a choice or it is a choice. I like that. It's a nice connection. It's like his song, New Slaves.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't listen to Kanye's music. I don't really know who he is, to be honest. But if he said slavery is a choice, he's on point.
I think he said it to TMZ.
Okay.
It kind of got him in trouble, but
So
Yeah, you had a question for me, and I wasn't able to finish it.
Oh yeah, no. So I wanted to say something for the chat that's watching right now, because one of them wanted me to ask you a question about the deep state, but you kind of answered that already earlier. You said that all the presidents have been picked except for JFK.
Okay.
So I feel like that kind of implies that you do think there's a deep state, right?
I'm not too sure of that, Tom, to be honest.
Not that term, but just like some like higher power kind of like
Oh yeah, there's people
Illuminati
for
kind of.
sure.
Okay. Yeah, no. So I think that the question I wanted to weave in after that was tell me a little bit about like your work, because it sounds like your work is very much something that you could, inspire other people to, sort of also do as well, because it seems like your work is very much like a contract kind of like hire that sort of thing.
Do you mean like the jobs I have or the business I run, or what do you mean?
Yeah,
Or
like
do you mean like
yeah,
the
like
content I'm trying to produce?
yeah, get into the specifics of what you do and kind of explain how it works to the people. Like maybe there's some business offering that you could give them,
Yeah. So the first thing that's extremely helped me to get on the path where I'm at right now. Last year, I got a job. Instead of doing firefighting, I quit that and started driving a party bus because it pays like 35 an hour. And it was only a weekend job, so it paid like a full-time job. But then I had a whole week worth of time, and I was able to do anything I wanted. Because time is the most valuable thing we have on Earth. And with that time, I was able to use that to start a business, Streets, with a handful of other people. Um, and also invest into a restaurant. And a couple other things. And from doing all that, I feel like I wouldn't have been able to start Streets or invest into a restaurant and help it get it started without me taking time every day to learn how business works, how money works, how contracts works, all kinds of things. But I usually spend about a few hours a day just learning important information. It could be about investing, it could be a type of crypto, or it could be what's the government's doing, what stocks are doing what, or how to make more money off of my money. Like I learn everything I can. Um, especially if it's related to money, business, or a healthy lifestyle. I like to learn that. So I think that's kind of where it starts on how I started everything. And I'm also a model, as you guys know. And one of the photographers I started working with a while back is also a commercial loan broker. And he's like, John, I think you'd be extremely good for this. You want to give it a try? It's like, yes, without a doubt. Because I don't always see why you just say no to an opportunity. If someone's giving you opportunity, I would always take it.
Right.
Took that opportunity. Now I meet with bankers on a regular basis. That's my 9-to-5 job. And I guarantee you this job that I got as a commercial loan broker, I'm probably going to make easily $500,000 this year, if not $1 million from this job. My boss thinks I'm going to make about $200,000 this year. I'm expecting a lot more than that. I have bigger ambitions than him for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that during the week, and then on the weekends I drive a party bus. Probably not going to do it much longer. I'm kind of becoming like a manager for that company. Because like I said, you either become extremely wealthy or you become homeless. And I'm planning on becoming extremely wealthy. And with everything I'm doing, and when I become to enough wealth and influence, I want to be able to help as many people as I can and influence them and teach them the ways how to become independent from the government, how to think better. Because a lot of people that are taught in schools how to think a specific way, and that's messing with them. I think there's lots of things people need to unprogram essentially in their head.
What is something you learned in school you had done program?
Well, me personally, there wasn't really a lot because I kind of like fuck school. I didn't do elementary. I was homeschooled for elementary school. And then middle school, I went to public school for middle school, but I only went 150 days for those 3 years. And I don't know if you know how many days that is. That's basically a month, maybe 2 months out of the school year. And then when I went to high school, I kind of did whatever I wanted when I was there
Mm-hmm.
because I have autism and they just let me do whatever I wanted. I got extremely good grades. And then if they said something to me I didn't like, I just dropped out of school for a year,
Mhm.
found a different school. But yeah, I didn't really let anyone ever teach me anything that I didn't believe in myself.
Mhm.
John, I wanted to ask you. It looks like we just got word that Josie looks to be like the grand prize winner. Do you have any interest in tuning in, or are you like how are you feeling about watching Fish Tank? Like, does it feel weird to you to not be there, or I mean, are you cool watching it, or do you,
I
is it
don't
not?
watch it really. I don't go out of my way to watch it. If Josie did win, I hope she did. That would be amazing. But I do not go out of my way to watch that show. Like I've told you guys in the past, I don't have a TV. I don't have a TV for a reason. It's a waste of my time. Like if
You
I
would,
was on the show, it's a different story. Making
Sure.
content makes sense. Consuming content to me doesn't. Unless that content I'm consuming is going to help me better my future some way.
That's how
well,
I,
we
that's how I look at content also.
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah. It's just crazy to finally see it right there, the $35,000 check. Like these giant, they actually did it with the old like local news kind of like pay it forward kind of
Pub-
like
The publisher's
format.
clearinghouse check,
Yeah.
$1 million check.
So I mean, John, what do you? I mean, you made some money in that setup. Like, I mean, fish bucks. What do those translate to exactly?
Like I believe $500. I made 1,500 because I
Nice.
made 3 fish bucks.
That's pretty
Um,
good. Yeah.
I felt like, well, the whole mindset I had when I got on the show, I wasn't in there for the money. I was in there to spread the word of God and just spread my influence across people and try to inspire people. And now I get messages from people with autism and how I've helped them out so much. That's my favorite thing, reading a message how I inspired someone. Um, like every time like there was this one really heartfelt one I saw the other day. Someone's nephew saw me and he's showed it to his uncle and he got extremely inspired by me because he has a harder time, but now he's working out every day, he's reading the Bible, and he's just like improving his life, and his family is grateful for, like, when I was reading, like I was trying not to cry because like it was just so amazing to see how I was able to impact someone's life in such a positive way.
That's
That's really great to hear. I mean, I think that is exactly what I was thinking. Like when I was thinking about how could you be an impact, like that right there is something that I think is going to just kind of like ripple forward from that
Yeah.
point. And I mean, you're gonna have a ton of people that I think are going to be looking up to you. Just wanted to clear something up with one of the chat questions. A gamer asks, "How does John feel on other religions?" I think that you kind of answered that too earlier whenever you said that doing anything to desecrate anyone's religious text, is kind of a folly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
What about all
Well,
this that's going on socially? Like, there's a lot of social things going on with, things that you wouldn't characterize as like being Christ-like or Christian in popular culture. What do you think? Do you have anything to say to that?
What do you mean exactly?
I guess if you want to put a finger on it, at the moment, the whole controversy Target's undergoing with their, what was it, Caitlin? Do you know the detail on that? Maybe you
oh,
can.
with like their like tuck swimsuit or whatever, like
Yeah,
the
and the satanic imagery they had along with it, and then they were
oh
targeting.
yeah, so Target used clothing that was created by a trans artist. I know this was 100% right. They never had any like anything that said Satan, respects your pronouns, like on like Target shirts, but that was a design that was
They had some
made by yeah,
art.
it was made by the designer who worked with Target.
Mhm.
So like that wasn't a specific Target item, but that's the kind of designer that Target hired to do this Pride collection. If that makes any sense.
They put the Pride collection, to my understanding, in the children's section. So anyway, that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Like, how do you feel about popular culture and society? And that's not necessarily desecrating an object that is sacrosanct or whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely controversial. Maybe.
It's imposing it. Maybe it's imposing it like in like your grocery shop, perhaps. At the very most.
So I don't stay up to date with news and stuff usually. I don't have time for that
Yes.
garbage. Most news is usually meant to divide people. Now, what I will say is, from what I've looked into, so after World War II, lots of the Nazi scientists they came over to the States.
Hmm.
A lot of some of their plans in America, the Nazi scientists and what the KGBG, the Russian people, uh, was to make a lot of the Americans, younger generations, to become in the LGBTQ community. Um, and the biggest reason why they did that, I felt like, was to take people away from God and to take the country into a weaker state of place. Because think about this: it's if every single guy lived in America believed to be gay, and let's say there's lots of gay guys I've seen, not all of them, but a lot of them are usually like super feminine. They don't believe in working out, or they want to act more feminine. Well, what happens though? Let's say if a country like Russia wants to invade us. Well, if every guy doesn't work out, every guy is weak, what's going to happen? We're just going to get walked over on. Like, I don't know if you guys seen the army commercials these days in the U.S. It's all about gay people and accepting them and so on, okay? And how everyone's special. Then you look at the army videos for recruiting in Russia, they don't deal with anyone who's slacking. Like, they just don't. Like,
Mhm.
if you want to be in the army, then you got to be tough.
Right.
In the army in the U.S., they keep dropping the standards every single year. Well, why are they dropping the standards? So the females don't feel excluded. So the gay people in the LGBTQ community doesn't feel excluded. So they gotta drop the standards for them. Okay, well, when you drop the standards, it's just like a chain. You've got one weak link, that's already bad. But now you're adding weak links left and right. That's just the reality of it. If you're not physically strong or mentally capable to handle stress, you shouldn't be in the army. Well, and at the same time, me personally, I believe the United States is going to collapse before 2030. Like, I want to leave as soon as possible. I don't think it's going to be a safe place to live anymore.
You're not going to stand and fight?
Why would I stand and fight for a country that just follows Satan?
We're one nation under God. We're supposed to be.
Well, that's what it says. But the people who won this country, who do they think God is?
That's why I'm saying it's like the people who are in charge need to be reminded, or they need to be thrown out. Not in like a insurrection, like just kidding in Minecraft kind of way, but you know what I mean? It's like
One strong one.
strike number one. No,
All
but
I'm
no,
saying is
seriously.
lots of people pray to Satan and then think Satan is God. So the people in the power, who do they think is God? That's my question. And then you see the way they operate. Does that seem like Jesus' father?
Well, thou shalt not covet or bear false witness. So if there is one nation under God, then we go like, okay, who's the God? And if they say like God the Mother, then you're like, okay, we're calling it quits. Like, you can't be saying that. But like, you gotta like just kind of like, I don't know. People,
Well, if you look at how a while back, what was it? What, I think it's called the Grammy, when all the celebrities go on stage and they get a trophy or something like that.
Oh yeah, and there was
Sam
Smith.
I don't ever watch the Grammys.
Well, a while back, I think it might be called the Grammys or something.
Yeah, it is.
They had a ritual on the show. Like, I don't know if you guys know, but that's so cool. With that dude dressed up like Satan or whatever, and his 3 demons, whatever. That was a ritual. Like, that was an actual ritual.
The Sam.
What did you think about Alex Stein forcing Josie to draw a pentagram inside the tank?
I didn't look into that. I didn't really know that. Like, someone told me they did it. I didn't see any pictures, but I think if someone forced someone to do it, it's kind of fucked up.
Yeah, that's why I thought they brought you back, because I thought that you were gonna cleanse that place after they did that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a person.
Hey, hold on before we bring in Jacob.
Okay.
So John, we're gonna stay here and change the culture, and when we get it fixed, we'll give you a DM and you can come back. It'll be safe. We're working
What do you
hard.
mean?
We're working hard to affect the culture here in America through art, culture, and politics. We're just trying to change the way people perceive uh, society a little bit, and it's not necessarily through political speech or anything like that. It's more from a cultural standpoint. So anyway, feel free to come here anytime and like speak your mind with us. We're trying to build that audience.
Yeah.
Try to like right the boat, so to speak.
Awesome.
Absolutely. My friend Jacob is here. He would love to ask you a question. Just gonna get him like mic'd up real quick. It is about the show, but it's very general, so you'll love it.
Listen, John, it is a pleasure to speak with you right now. I love you and everything you stand for. And now that the fish tank is over, I want to know, how do you feel about your time there, walking out? And do you have anything to say to Josie now that she's won?
Me personally, the show's a love-hate relationship. I hate it being though. I love it because I was able to help so many people in the outside world. The only thing I would say to Josie is congrats. I'm glad you won. And I hope she doesn't get too many stalkers.
All right. Thank you, John. Love you, man.
That it, Jacob?
Do you have any kind of verse to end us on?
Verse? Yeah, let me pull up my favorite verse. I would use my Bible to pull it up. I'm gonna have to use my phone though.
That's not cool, man. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you a quick flash round. What was it like having an AI version of your voice being read to you?
It was annoying as fuck. Like me personally, I hate my voice, so having to hear it all day long, I'm like, bro. And then, to be fair, I have a speech impediment, and then AI is already a little bit shitty for speech, and then having a speech impediment, AI, it's like fuck. Well, I can't even understand what you're saying. That's my own voice.
So it's like anytime you like hear something, you're like, what did it just say? You're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're like, am I speaking in? I'm the same way. I feel like I speak incoherent sometimes, so I feel like we all have that problem, you know.
So my favorite verse is Corinthians 13:4. Love is patience and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is irritable. I'm pronouncing some of these words wrong. Or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoice with the truth. That's my favorite verse.
Yeah. I had that read at my wedding.
That's a good one.
It is a good one.
Yeah, fruits of the spirit, man. That's awesome. Well, we're not going to keep you much longer. We did you an hour just like we did Simon, and like XVALA said, the door is always open. So yeah, we'd love to have you on for something else in the future.
For sure. Hey, thank you guys again.
Yeah, we wish you best of luck. Any last catchphrase?
Can I plug my stuff real quick?
Go for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Go for all of it.
So, if you guys want some more Top J content or John Tent, you could say, go to my business account. My Instagram account. Sorry, I'm all loopy right now. My Instagram account, BusinessJack2022. My Twitter account, John Tent G. My YouTube account, John Tent. And my Rumble account, John Tent as well. Thank you for having me on. This was a good podcast. I really enjoyed you guys, all the questions you guys have for me. And hope all your viewers enjoy this. I know I'm a bit out there.
No, you're just in line with us, John. And we want to say here at the Meme Ranch, big thanks to Sam, big thanks to Jet, big thanks to everyone who made this show really, really fucking funny. I think it's really brought a bunch of cool people together.
What are they on right now?
What's that?
On Fishtank, what are they voting on? Read that.
We're saying favorite fish. I don't. Truth be told, I didn't buy Fishtank. I do pay Sam Hyde $5 a month though, so I'm not gonna get bullied into
That's
into
right.
not paying. So yeah, but
33% Josie.
yeah, looks like Josie is being voted
And-
on as the favorite
And
fish.
she's making
John, you are down at 11%. That's pretty good, especially given the fact that we're talking about the 3 people that are in the top right now are the last 3 people that were on the show. So people are voting by memory here.
Yeah,
And
that's really insane.
There's a very popular streamer. His name is Lotan, who's been keeping up with like the days following, and that guy he had you on his money for winning the show. So I think a lot of people wanted you to win. I think down to the very line they were like, it's gonna probably be Josie and Letty just because they get the most TTS money.
Yeah,
know?
I think I would have won if there wasn't so many things that would have cost my morals. Like I was gonna win, and then I started to see the stuff they were doing. It's like, I'm not doing that. Fuck, I'm not doing this one either. Fuck, I'm gonna lose now.
Well, it got so nasty in there. Like
Yeah.
I could not. Like, oh my god.
Well, you see the shit they were doing when I was gone. They were playing with piss and shit, shoving stuff down the toilet. Like that's
Right.
animal stuff, literally animals. Like they're the most disgusting heathens on there. There was the only other person I think that didn't do anything was like either Josie and Vance were the only ones that didn't get disgusting. Oh, extremely aggressive with someone. I'm like, holy fuck.
So nasty. All right. This is going to be an outro here on Meme Ranch. This has been Jon Tent.
John 10.
And I just want to end this show with a J J J J J J J J J J J J J J J J J J J